In this video on a 94, gonna 3-bet this one. We have 4 tables of 500 going and 2 1Ks. The purple's 1K. Got 1 table on Poker Stars right now. That's just gonna close it in case Poker Stars starts lagging me, or when it starts lagging me, sorry, or when this game breaks. Playing 1 table of heads up for a sec here. Probably will just close it, even though I don't mind playing heads up. Just when I'm recording, I don't like. On an 11 here, actually he is opening into a recreational, which means he's likely going to be opening wider. So we'll take some of these merged 3-bets and use do them pure. Here you can do either. I don't mind the half pot strategy. I still don't think, actually, I think the thing is he's going to have some 6-5 and 7-6. You'd probably rather keep those hands in, so if you're going to play a 1/3, it would probably be preferred with a hand like this. I usually like to play half pot, but yeah. It's kind of a bad card. Can do either. He's going to be continuing a lot of his ace-x. It's not a great card for our range, but he's going to have a lot of ace-queen. The thing is he has ace-jack. He never has ace-king. He has queen-10. It's a card we want to check a lot on. I got rolled an 11. I'll probably like check all in, even though I don't think he's reopening too loose. I just don't know how much I like check call. Yeah, it's probably just the check jam, even though he has a lot of hands that beat us. It's just, I think check call on this spot is just not that good. In reality, yeah. Just a lot of flush draws here. I'm gonna go with the jam. At this SPR, I just don't like the idea of keeping bluffs in on river. I think a lot of people have flush draws here and they don't bluff the river versus calling range, so if I'm going to get stacked, I'm going to get stacked with this hand. Just going to check here and heads up. Going to leave. I don't feel like playing heads up. Starting the video off with a huge spot here. I wonder if my opponent could ever be tanking a hand that beats me. Like, is he ever tanking ace-jack here? I could see it. Please don't be AJ. Okay, perfect. Hopefully we do twice. Or 3 times. Let's do it. Nice. Good start to the video. I don't know. We'll be running that hand instantly, so on to the first hand of the review. Or of the session that we're going to be reviewing here. In this spot, I'll put up the actual correct betting range. For this sake, I simplified it to 1/3 only. In this spot, though, it's funny you're playing some jams. I almost want to take this out of the range. So I'm just obviously not finding this. I node locked it to 1 size, B33 only. But I'll put up on the screen the correct size. As you can see, your king-6 almost always betting here in this spot. Never trapping it. Even when you played B75 only, if you play 1 size, if you play 2, it like splitting between bet 20 and B75. It's still always like the B75 size. In general, opponent not raising too much on this board makes sense. Most hands are going to perform better as a call, so it's pretty hard to get together a raising range here. I'd say your raising range is mainly built around the trapped aces and bottom set. And then here on the turn, it likes checking king-6 pure. Most of your opponent's ace-x now is like doing pretty well against you. You're gonna have to check a lot on this board. There's a lot of hands that are performing pretty well. Versus a betting range, you're dealing with queen-jack. You're playing against pure queen-10 suited. Obviously, yeah. So when opponent bets here, and you're supposed to just call king-6. I think it's just due to the equity of your hand only being 50. So when you shove, you're naturally just not going to be getting called by better enough. Obviously, then for the jam, we can look at what our opponent calls here. I think I ran this as the hand he called ended up losing like 3 big blinds. If you look at the EV, it's in a different node. This is the hand he had in game. Just out of curiosity, the river is going to be a 5 of hearts. You can still see if the money would have gone in. I imagine he checks back ace queen, or it's probably close because I'm gonna have a lot of these worse ace-x hands. I probably have to call some, so I imagine ace queen is a pretty decent thin jam for value. Oh, looks like I'm wrong. All in losing like 5 big blinds on the river. even king 6 actually folds. Anyway, back to the video. So yeah, look forward to the review on that spot. Probably just ran the review, but I'll give my thoughts after the hand, because I notice sometimes when I review these hands, I have thoughts after and then it just comes weird, but I'll probably review it right there. And then for the portion after, if I had to guess, here, maybe it's just, I'll play these hands first. Here you can do overbet or check. This isn't an open, but there's a fish here. Probably doesn't, I don't know how much it justifies it. I'm gonna go with the check here, overbet or check, but having like such bad cards, we block some of the folds. I've been studying so much today, I keep hitting B to highlight, because it's the highlight on GTO Wizard, but also let me do this just to make it look a little aesthetically better. I'm just gonna fold now. On a 1, I think this is close maybe, but I'll defend it still. Could lead here, not having a spade, less likely to be that good. Queen 9, gonna fold pure. Yeah, anyway, on this spot, I don't know, because there's benefits to not having ace, because you could stack ace queen in a different way. I don't know. I kind of knitted it up, and then I realized it was being too nitty. I could see the benefits of just barreling a hand like this. I think your opponent's gonna have a lot of ace x when you have a king and a 6, so it's good to probably value your king x that is ahead of ace x for that reason. I was just thinking it's a card we're gonna want to check a lot on, kind of. So here having a spade, probably most likely to check this one. Blocking a lot of his folds, right? Like he might float like ace 6 of spades, ace deuce of spades is a pair now. But anyway, all the ace 6 of spades he doesn't 3-bet pre. If they're over 3-betting their suited aces 3, then it becomes less relevant. Probably gonna put this one in the check raise category though. I think that's the ideal of simplifying your strategies, is not only when you have to build a checking range, you almost always have to build a check raising range, right? Or you have to build a check line for the imposition. So if you simplifying your strategy is to do things like that, because you have enough things to worry about. Yeah. I would say though, the more you study in poker, the more you build this intuitive thing for it. You play less like maybe GTO, but in terms of knowing exact frequencies, but you kind of get the right idea when you understand what matters and what doesn't. I'm nowhere near like the level of some of these people, but you know, on an 82 here, it looks like some of these games are gonna break, so I'm gonna open more tables in a sec for you guys. On an 82, gonna 3-bet this though. Oh, the pseudo connectors 3-betting about 50% of the time for spot in and pure versus the small blind. And this is like big better check spot, blocking 7s and 6s here, which he's gonna have a good amount of time, I imagine. It's a pretty bad flop bet, so I'm gonna check. Feels like you want high cards here, because almost any Broadway hand, unless it's like super disconnected, which there's not really any, it's not a heads up pot, it's gonna be continuing on this board, and I think I'm just gonna check fold. Oof, if we bet flop here, that would have been money. Would have been money. Maybe it's just better to bet the backdoor hand, because your hand can't really defend a bet, so maybe you just bet here even though you have bad blockers. I'll be sure to just put that on the screen right now. And yeah. When these games break, I'm gonna open more tables for you guys. Maybe I'll open some 200s, or I'll run 4 tables for a bit. Let's see here if I'm buttoning this guy. I just played my blinds. Am I wrong? Oh, I kind of messed up. How long am I recording for? 7 minutes. Alright, here can do either. Going to probably cut the video here. and add some more tables. Right here, just gonna call. I feel like here, I don't know. Maybe he calls worth. I'm gonna go half pot for value. I don't think it called by a jack. Could shove, but I don't know. My plan was to half pot and fold to a jam. I guess the fish is probably never checking back king queen here. Yeah, I probably could have jammed here and maybe got called, but yeah. Purple is 1k. Sorry if I'm cutting this video and I'm cutting it a lot here. I'm just trying to get these tables going. Dark blue is going to be 200. Probably just gonna. I could just jam for value. No, I'll just check. I don't see the downside. Seems too thin. I'm just gonna check. Could get him off a. Oh no. You can get him off a worse 10. I guess he only has 10-7 though. It's not like too relevant. Here can do either. I guess I don't mind the block. It's probably overfolded. When they check twice here, they probably just never have a pair. At least in a 200 game, that's how I would be explaining more often in the micro stakes. When you play higher stakes, people here will know that they have to defend and all that. I think in lower stakes, people just generally when your population zigs, it kind of makes the regs play a certain way. So given that this spot is underbluffed, you're gonna know that he's checking. When he checks back, he checks twice. He probably doesn't have a pair, so you can bet here. If he calls an ace, you just make more money when you bluff river. If you just overbet, you look like you have a queen. And you're like, yeah. I would say the main thing you can attack when you play on these lower stakes is most of the regs aren't balanced. So let's say they have an exploit on you. Usually, if, for example, if a guy looks me up here and hero calls me, I'll just never bluff this spot again. And then all of a sudden he'll start calling, overcalling. When you go up, I think people are a little more... They deviate from line to line. There'll be nodes, for example, where they overfold versus you, and there'll be nodes where they overcall versus you. And you actually have to learn the exploits from each node. Each individual node, where I'd say generally worst regs are going to be deviating in one way. They're going to either be the guy who always makes the cool hero folds and then overfolds, or he'll be the guy who always makes the sick calls, but he overcalls. It's really hard to do both. The thing about online poker, especially I've noticed while recording, I'll move this over here. There's just no glory in folding. There's a lot of these hands I've wanted to record on video that I've thought are calls, and I just call because just in my head I'm thinking like, yeah, we don't get to see what he had. Also, it's way easy to look like a genius in hero fold and poker in general, just due to the fact that you're supposed to not be good when you call. So if you know your opponent's under bluffing and you fold a good value hand, it's like cool. Same thing goes for Sid though with hero calling. It's like, yeah, as long as your opponent's balanced, I mean, it's supposed to work 30 to 40% of the time, right? It's just, does it actually make money? Like, I could record all day and I could have some sick clips. On an 87, gonna 3-bet it. I can have some sick clips, right? Where I call the guy with ace high versus an overbet jam or something, and then I can have the same inverse where I just fold some sick hand. I mean, you guys play enough poker to know how often something that happens 10% of the time happens, especially if you go on the poker YouTube shorts. I don't know what I'm yapping about. So, yeah, the action's kind of moving slow right now, but it feels like these games are breaking. The 200 one is also breaking, but this is what it is. We're getting some poker stars action which is nice. Here blind versus blind, just gonna fold. I don't know what number I rolled. I could have limped. I mean, I don't mind it in the 200. Sometimes I just simplify to an opening range when I play too many tables, and when I'm playing less, I kind of dial in and start incorporating limps. It's just, if I'm multi-table, I'm not going to be balancing the limping line. So, I mean, it's not that hard to be, because for someone to actually know your exploit, it can be node to node. For example, sometimes I can be playing perfectly balanced in the limping line. I'd say I only really do it versus good regs, though. Say the general exploit versus bad regs is they're not 3-betting enough. Or when they do 3-bet you, they're not 3-bet bluffing you enough. So for example, let's say you know the guy's 3-betting merge. I mean, if you're opening into him, right? Like when he 3-bets you, he always has a strong hand. That's not the worst. The worst is when he 3-bets you with a weak hand and calls you with stronger hands too, because it's a lot tougher to play. It's like if you know, how do I say this? If someone's both 3-betting the same frequency, here versus the pot, I'm just gonna call once because I think it's a card he's gonna overbluff. Even fish, I think, are smart enough to realize like that the king's a good card for them. On a 31, never gonna get involved with this. I'm gonna fold. Generally, pot size from a fish, you could just fold. Unless you know they're like a unicorn. By that I mean just like super well. Here, what was I talking about? Oh, I'm saying you know they're both 3-betting like around the same percentage, but one guy's doing a merge approach where he has more of a small blind type of 3-bet, and the other guy has a big blind type of 3-bet where he's 3-betting polar. In general, when you get 3-bet, you're not gonna lose as much EV because, what's it called? You're getting 3-bet by a hand that's good. That makes sense. So it's like, okay, your opponent has, what's a hand that like maybe has eights calls sometimes, right, in the big blind, or most of the time. And let's say he's 3-betting it pure, right? Well, it's like, okay, and you have like I don't know, 7-6 offsuit because like you're just opening a little too wide. Well, when your opponent has 8s and they 3-bet you, it's not that bad because it's like, oh, I was pretty much chalked anyway. With the fish here, this isn't an open, but this guy being a fish, I don't mind it. In the sense of, I think he's 3-betting not too big because usually fish don't 3-bet properly. And then when he 3-bets, he's gonna have a stronger range that I can crack. So I'm actually, but what I'm saying basically is I'm gonna call 3-bet versus that guy. So then naturally opening it becomes a little more profitable. Versus 3.5x here, even versus the recreational, just gonna fold. Not to mention, I think players also under 3-bet from the big blind. In general. Anyway, back to the Japanese I'm speaking. Yeah, when they have a good hand, in general, it feels less bad to fold to a 3-bet. When they have ace-deuce offsuit and you fold to a 3-bet, you're like, oh man, if I limped that hand, I would have got to play it. That was basically what I was trying to say for the last 2 minutes. Because like, let's say you limp a hand like queen 5 suited. That's a better example. You limp a hand like queen 5 suited. You can limp call that hand, whereas if you open, you have to open fold it. That's some of the appeal. Also, you get to play slightly more hands, like ace-deuce off, for example, isn't an open, but it's a limp. I mean, obviously, if you know your opponent's under 3-betting, you can just open it justifiably. Here, you can do either. I mean, I just don't see a fish folding on this board, and I don't want to put in money. There's people who usually are over-continuing. You can make the argument he's probably flatting too wide versus the 3-bet, so maybe he'll have some folds, but they probably contain some of the cards I'm holding here, so I don't mind just giving that one up. This is the same thing as usually the king. It's about a third of the time you can 3-bet ace jack and fold it. Gonna check here. Raise this sometimes. I like it. You have queen jack at a good frequency. I like going a little more polar when you do raise. So we'll go 57. Might be too low, kind of, but it's close. People have this thing where they range bet some of these boards. I don't mind it on this board, but generally, if you know your opponent's range betting, you should be pretty aggressive with the raises. This is we fish on the button. I mean, it's justifiable. All right, we have a great hand. I'm gonna bet a third here. Good size up here. He's gonna have a lot of pocket pairs. You basically want to size the size that they continue with the pairs, though. All right, kind of worried here, but I'm just gonna go. Gonna bet this and fold to a jam. I really don't think there's bluffs, but I also don't think we're gonna get bluffed into a lot. So I'm just gonna bet this size and fold to a jam. Nice. Versus the 2x here, we know, for example, here my opponent is playing also 2.5, so I'm tempted to 3-bet, because earlier we saw, remember, he opened to 3.5 bigs. It could be some trap or something. Alright, looks like he saw it, so we'll be able to know now. He does call. I would have gone bigger. Here am I buttoning the guy? I don't know. Shout out to this guy. Cool dude. I think in general this is probably a fold. Unless he goes a third, then it's close. Big bet though. I'm just gonna sit on now and leave. I don't know. I just choose not to grim people because I played on the safer end. Earlier I kind of left at a time I didn't know, so there if I didn't, I don't know. I'm gonna bet a third here. I'm gonna call. Folding here. So we got 4 tables right now, so I can change the overlay for now. Might run 4 for the rest of the video. Unless I see some more lobbies. I don't think I see some 500s. When I continue this, I might add more. So we got 2 good hands in the both the 1Ks here. First the fish here, just gonna open, not gonna bother playing these like limp traps. The aces. This is good. I'm gonna size up my 4-bet versus the 3 fish because I don't think they have too many folds. 45 here, just gonna fold. Oh, punished. I think here we're just all in with the jacks. I don't know. I don't have a HUD to know how crazy this guy's getting. Good start. Great. I've been running so good in these all-ins today. Great all-in EV day. I feel like this game might break now. So I have 2 choices. I can play or I can leave. I think I'm going to leave just due to the fact that I'm not going to play heads up and I think everyone's going to leave. So I will be the one leaving. Let's see if I can get in another game. How long have I been recording? I might cut the video right now. Or I'll finish some of these hands, and if the action dies down, I'm going to just cut it for you guys. Like I was probably doing earlier in the video. Though the cuts earlier were going to be messy, so we'll see how it works. Here I can do either. 37 I think is a little low. Let's check GG, see if there's action running. Oh, there's a 500. I have my lobby thing open. I kind of changed that. I have my thing where I have the lobby, but I don't even like the lobby. I like doing this. So, if you're curious about the overlay software I use, the link is in the description. It's kind of bugging out right now though. It's mainly on my laptop's end, I think. There's a lot of interesting spots in this video, despite the fact that what's it called? I've had a lot of action constantly breaking and reopening. I'll keep the 1K here. Genius. Shout out to the lobby tech. I prefer doing it this way because it's just easy to watch. You can just see that number go up. And usually when people don't want to heads up battle each other, it's usually a fish when they sit. It's usually how the games start anyway. Anyway, that's my little bootleg way of doing it. So yeah, we have 200 here. Just a reminder, blue is 200, green is 500, and purple is 1K. All these tables now on GG. As stars tends to lag my recording. Been recording 22 minutes, so I'll record for a bit longer. Plus I have all the cuts in there, so I'll probably record till 35. My videos have been running a little shorter recently. That is the plan. Yeah, when there's 4 tables right now, if I don't have any hands for 2 minutes, I might cut it out and record a little longer. We'll see. I'm getting a little better at editing. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but becoming a little bit of an editing myself. DM for editing services. No, I'm just kidding. Here versus the fish. I don't mind betting small here because I think in general they're going to call their ace-x. Versus the fish here, I think it's just general. I don't know how tight he's been 3-betting. I think when we hit, we stack him. Maybe I'm just yapping with this logic. Alright guys, we're gonna do this 50-50 and I'm gonna roll right here. Because it's meant to be with the fish. This guy just underbluffs, so I'm gonna... Alright. Bingo, watch this. Boop. Oh, unfortunate. Just kidding. What do you guys think? Is he checking back a pair really on this board? The issue is he probably follows through in the river. Okay, I'm gonna fold. He kind of yapped that one. I'd say in general, it's probably simpler just to fold pre, because it's probably too strong of a range. And he sized a little too big. The advantage to calling is usually when these fish 3-bet. As long as you got to make sure they're not like crazy wackos, because then you're probably not making. I mean, it depends. If they're 3-betting a lot, which is generally a reg idea, is you 3-bet a lot and then you play a strategy post flop, which doesn't mean you're jamming to the river. Whereas a lot of fish, the aggressive ones, they're either tight and they have a strong hand, or they're usually aggressive, meaning they probably overbluff. So usually either way, the money goes in a lot in these bigger pots versus recreationals. So in general, obviously hands that can make really nutted hands usually perform pretty well. But I still think there you could probably get away with just folding. I probably should just fold, to be honest. I was just kind of feeling myself. I was trying to make the video entertaining for you guys. Really wanted to hit a set there for the montage, slow motion, you know. Some tape on Austin, highlight tape. I'm here, mainly just gonna call. On a higher number, I think Ace King suited wants the jam. I think Ace King off, just calling. Kind of bad suits here. First half, oof, it's close. But I think from these ranges, I'm just gonna exploitively fold versus this opponent. For these spots, it's really hard to find 4-bet bluffs. You have to have like Ace 10 suited, King Jack suited, stuff like this. Not to mention we don't have a spade, which is kind of bad in the sense of A, it ruins our equity, and then B, when we hit an ace or a king, there's a 1 in 3 chance it's a spade. Which isn't the worst, because he probably doesn't have too many flush draws, I guess. Yeah. I don't know. There's a decent chance he just has same hand here. I kind of want to fold. I feel like this guy's never 4-bet at me. If you're watching the video, let me know, Daniel. But what you had, comment down below. I'll give him that one. We're gonna have aces there half the time. I mean, I would say in general, if your opponent under 4-bets, just shove aces. It's usually a pretty good way to operate. Just due to the fact that, like, if your opponent doesn't have bluffs here, you might as well shove aces. I mean, they're calling you. They're gonna have like kings a lot of the time, right? Stuff like this. But if your opponent does bluff you, that's when it's more important to call aces. Same, that holds true from every position here on the board. I mean, if your opponent doesn't have 4-bet bluffs, they're gonna be 4-betting to call off all-ins way too often. Despite you, even if you have 2 aces, you don't need to get all cute, even though a solver told you to. This hand just has such good properties to it. Having an ace of diamonds. The issue is just this fish called, and he's probably gonna call. All right, maybe there's a chance my opponent has king 9, king 8 suited. He might block it. Let's just check and pray. I think 10 makes sense for him to have. King 10, Jack 10, Queen 10, all gonna be playing this way. He just pots it in my face. All right, I'm out. Kind of unfortunate. I feel like I wailed off here. I was gonna bluff a diamond river, despite how insanely psychotic it seemed. This guy's kind of a station too, so. I mean, he's a fish. Not to sound rude to the guy. I mean, he's been owning me in my last 2 videos, but I just mean, yeah, that's the way I perceive. Here can do either. I don't mind just going a third again. Could check back and then yeah. How much does this guy 3-bet? My hand's so good, but like, it probably just makes money folding. I mean, if I call 8 big blinds and I don't guaranteed see a flop, I mean, that's not pretty good. I mean, the hand's only making so much money versus a 3-bet in general, right? Like, it's only making so much. So the fact that I have that wild card where 10% to 20% of the time, yeah, like for example that. I mean, I would have to hit the flop decently. On our 91, we'll open it. The fact that I have that wild card of 10 to 20% of the time when I see a flop. Also, you got to keep in mind this guy's range is also way tighter now because he's 3-betting a fish, meaning he doesn't have any bluffs, or he's like not putting in as many bluffs. So you got to keep that in mind as well. He's less likely to get a little wild with a hand like sevens or something like this, right? Here you can do either without a spade. I still think in general you want to be pretty aggressive on this board. This might be a little too loose, but I like the idea of having, there's a 6 on the board, folding up 5s, 4s, and 3s with deuces. Gonna be a high frequency give up. I mean, you got to find enough. Yeah. Obviously, you prefer a spade. I feel like I've been yapping in the second half of this video. I feel like I've been... My last couple of recordings been playing pretty meh. This guy just posted, so gonna be staying here. How long have I been recording for? 29 minutes. Record for 6 more, and then I'll continue the video. Probably opening a couple more tables, but we'll finish this off with some 6 table. I'm trying to post every day for you guys, so sometimes there's less happening. I mean, it's just gonna be a reality. I'll try and keep the editing good, try and go over some of these spots, but if there's gonna be videos that are more interesting than others. I mean, it's just reality. Gonna check here. Could lead. Don't mind it. Probably prefer it, actually. I mean, if this happens, I mean... Damn, this guy actually has a lot of outs. I mean, you kind of felt like you were not going to have much more than 73% here. I mean, unless he had ace-9 or something. Damn, this guy's just too good. Blue card at least. No. Okay, sick. Oh, here on a 38, not an open. So, I'll be re-rolling... I'm getting owned on some of these tables. Okay, here, let's check if there's any more 500s running. Okay, looks like this one we missed it. There's a couple 200s. Oh, this guy's a fish, so we'll sit this. Alright, let me use my link in the description. It's free for micro stakes. I already said that once this video, but you know. The only products I ever put in my videos are just products I used before I ever started making YouTube videos. Yeah, probably keep it that way. I mean, you can just go back to the beginning of my channel when I had like my only subscribers were my friends. On a 57 here, this deep. I think you can justify calling with the fish here and being this deep. Meaning you're gonna want to play more hands, but you're not necessarily going to 3-bet more often. So, or not want to play more hands. You're gonna want to still play good hands, but you're not gonna want to 3-bet as much. So you're gonna be able to flat more often. Yeah. Could do either here, but I guess I just fold with the guy behind. All right, gonna change the color of this. Gonna call this. Here you could do same logic and flat this, but where's the fish? We're just gonna attack him. I mean, we're not deep here, not same logic, but I'm just saying the same could be a flat. And here, having like almost none of these hands, just gonna be checking range. Maybe would consider betting with some of these hands because I'm versus fish. Where's the block bet? I'm tempted to raise him. And probably give up. Unfortunate. I mean, could do either here. Where's the fish? It's just not believable. I'm gonna check here. You beat some ace-jack of spades, ace-9 of spades. The thing is they bluff through. Kinda tempted to call if he jams. Is that like sick in the head? Yeah, that's the issue. I mean, it's just so face up that like that's what he has, and is it really gonna fold to a raise? Probably not. So why did I raise? I don't know. I guess I was kind of deep down hoping he would fold to 10. Didn't really think it through too much, or I did think it through, but I think I thought it through incorrectly. Is a better way to put it. Obviously, thought. I think it's just reality. They don't give you any credit, and I was gonna jam river, and then I decided against it because I think it's just the spot. I didn't realize like his SPR is just. I don't see how he folds top pair. If any overcame, I would have jammed to the 10. That's kind of what I was thinking. So even on a queen, just due to the fact that a 10 seems less good. So he just leads into me. Fish usually, when they perceive to have a strong hand size, up more than 1/3 of the pot there. Same logic here. On a brick here, just going to be jamming. Gonna call this guy here, and we flop the nut flush draw. Gonna call, I guess. Don't mind either. I don't see the real point in raising, because if he doesn't have a hand, they're usually gonna check give up. So I don't see the point in raising. You don't have to be balanced versus fish. If you don't have a made hand, I don't see the point in raising. If he has an ace, he's gonna call, and we're never gonna bluff him. And if he has an ace, if a heart comes off, we're probably still gonna get a lot of money. So there's no real EV in semi-bluffing that hand. In position. Out of position, it's a different story, because like maybe you want to lead action. They overfold versus the donk, which is not even true, by the way, but I want to call here, a flat here. I'll go with the 3-bet. I don't know. I might be losing money, but we'll go with it. Okay, if he has folds with the 3x, then it's probably making money. It's hard to know off the short stack what the guy has. I feel like 10-9's a pretty good 3-bet fold. Alright, been recording 34 minutes. Going to be wrapping up the video here, and stay tuned to for the next part 2 that I'm going to be recording right now.